About some F1, and there's a great race in France. Monks, did you get a chance to catch this race, and what were your thoughts?
I did. Yeah, great. So, yeah, perfect strategy by Red Bull throughout the race. Complete opposite to sort of what happened in Spain. I think it was Spain.
Yeah, they did it this year and they did it last year. Mercedes, that is. And would you call it karma or a bit of a, we're going to do to you what you've done to us?
Yeah, pretty much. So, France not necessarily a circuit where you see a lot of overtaking, I don't believe. So, yeah, it was good to see the strategy in play. So what we're talking about is with Red Bull, Max Verstappen was
started pole.
He was you wouldn't put Leclerc in the mix, but he was one of the two races to go to pit stop strategy. Everyone else went one stop. So
Leclerc kind of had to, and we'll get to the Ferraris at the end, but they had a bad day.
Yeah. So I think Red Bull caught Mercedes off guard a little bit. So as you got there, they went for the undercut. They had a great in-lap and great out-lap.
The undercut was huge in this.
Yeah, so
it kind of, I think teams kind of missed it with Ricciardo actually took over Leclerc and someone else. And then Leclerc pitted, and then McLaren were like, you need to pit now so you can jump these other guys and you will actually come out behind Leclerc. So he picked up two spots, but then also lost a spot in part of the undercut because Leclerc went through. Luckily for Ricciardo, of course, he took him over. But I think that was the turning point where it was like the undercut is super powerful here. Verstappen at that point, I think, was... What were they? He lost out in the first corner, so he did start first and then was second. So they were like that for quite a long time. Hamilton, during the first round of pit stops, that's right. During the round of first pit stops, Verstappen came in and came out ahead by Hamilton by seconds. But then he had Hamilton and Bottas right on his tail. So they were the top three. And there was, say, 2 seconds to split a lot of them. So they were really, really, really close. All three were kind of complaining about tyres and I think it's 40 laps in the race left at this point. And they're 10 laps into this kind of, constantly following each other right behind each other. And they were going, there's no way we make it to the end of this race on these tyres because they're just going to fall off a cliff. So Red Bull did the interesting thing and they pulled in Verstappen. They're like, okay, we agree with you. You're not going to make it in this race. You're going to come out probably behind Perez, so you'll be in fourth. But Perez is not going to slow you down. And then I think you'll be faster than the other two guys and you'll get them in the end. That's based on the degradation. So they pull him in and they change his tyres.
Yep. And I think that's where Perez was sitting, Mercedes couldn't pit as well because, again, they would have come up behind Perez and he would have just been able to sit there and slow the pace down.
Slow and block them out. And same for him and Bottas.
Yeah, exactly.
But, so Perez did run longer, which helped Red Bull a little bit. So Max comes in, he gets his tyres, gets behind. Perez, of course, makes his one stop, so he one stops. Max did two. So Max overtakes him. And it was really good to see the kind of team camaraderie. They're like, hey, let's go, let's get after it. We're the two of us, we can do this. They knew there was podium positions on for both of them. Max does Bottas easy and then gets Hamilton with a lap or two to go to get that. Perez also gets Bottas to finish third, so it's Max 1, Hamilton 2, and then Bottas, and then Perez in 3. Bottas is 4.
Great for points for Red Bull.
Yeah, massive for Red Bull. Not great for Mercedes and Hamilton. They're essentially competing for both too. Like they're the two main teams competing against it, which is really good because we've seen Red Bull being competitive, but haven't been it's been Max and they only kind of nipping at the heels of Mercedes. Super competitive this year. Bottas was a bit filthy.
A little bit.
Because he said straight away, he was like, this is going to be a 2-stop race. I need to come in. Why am we not coming in? And of course,
even before the race, he was like, I think he was very much on the 2-stop.
Yeah. But I guarantee drivers say a lot of things before races and want a lot of stuff. And the teams is like, well, we'll take that with a grain of salt. in this case, he was right. But, he's probably hasn't been right for a lot of the other races as well. But
that's it.
He wasn't a happy chappy of this. Did finish fourth. The McLarens had an excellent day. Ricciardo back to his prime form. They were two of the best overtaking drivers of the race, really using the DRS zones. They finished fifth and sixth. Mm-hmm. They're really competing for third place with, say, Ferrari. Ferrari had a bad day. I think neither of them finished in the top 10. I think Sainz and Leclerc finished I'm going to say 12th and 17th from memory. They had a pretty average day for this race.
Yeah. Just back on. So you mentioned before how Perez and Verstappen were playing with each other and really racing together to get the win for the team. McLaren did a similar sort of thing where I think Ricciardo was in front of Lando at some point in the race, and he let Lando through because he was on fresher tyres.
Yeah, had 10 laps.
Let him chase down some positions, which in turn would help Ricciardo come in through. So
yeah, exactly. See if they can get after Perez, but I think they were kind of they knew their spot and they solidified that spot. Norris is kind of a bit of a sneaky one. I think he's on 76 points, so he's 60 points away from the leaders at the moment. But he's I really like what McLaren are doing. I'm hoping both of them can kind of keep this pace, and maybe we have an extra team challenger to the other two, because the other two are definitely clear ahead. I do really like what Aston Martin have done with Vettel and Stroll. Both of them in this race ran very, very long, so they weren't very. Yeah, they were high in positions, but after their first pit stop, did drop them back a fair bit. Again, they were hoping for the safety car at some point and didn't pay off. But I do like their strategy, and I do like how they got competitive cars and the positioning themselves.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about tiers again. Though they're those tier two teams at the moment. Hopefully, one of those teams can then pop up and then challenge Red Bull and Mercedes in this, which again adds a little bit more. I'm really excited for this F1 season compared to the last couple. The last couple was like Mercedes is going to win. Okay, who's going to finish third?
The gap seems to be closing, and it is good to see Aston Martin sort of sit where they are after changing from Racing Point and all the issues they had with Racing Point and Mercedes parts and all that sort of stuff. So good to see them still there. So on Ferrari, Carlos Sainz came 11th and Leclerc was back in 16th because he had the two.
One off on both.
Yeah.
Damn it. I knew it was close.
Close, yeah.
As a casual fan, boys, and you say you're fired up for this season, does anyone win this Drivers' Championship outside of Verstappen and Hamilton? Could you see a Perez or a Norris or a Bottas or a Leclerc doing it?
No, Norris is my smoky. I think Perez probably can't purely based on team orders. Mm-hmm. They'd have to give positions to Max. But if Max is out of the race, then yes, he's going to get more points. I don't think Bottas has. I don't want to shit all over Bottas, but I just don't think he's got it.
Yep.
He's been in the second best car. Nico Rosberg competed with Hamilton and won championship. I don't think Bottas is kind of that level, and I don't know. Him and the team, the stuff on the weekend.
Yeah, there's some stuff behind the scenes where he's just not going to get.
Yeah, it's just not clicking like Seb did at Ferrari. It just didn't seem to click. There's just something missing there.
And look, as a very casual fan, from the outside looking in, you talk about Norris. Doesn't have a podium. He's got 2 podium finishes.
He needs to win races.
So he's gone 4th, 3rd, 5th, 8th, 3rd, 5th, 5th.
Yeah.
And then you look at Verstappen and Hamilton, it's essentially 1st and 2nd every race other than Baku. Yeah.
It's, in my opinion...
From the outside looking in, it looks like a 2-horse race.
Yeah. I'd say it's a 2-horse race.
I just think maybe if Norris can solidify that third spot, say he finishes third in every single race from here out, that's good points. And then you just have, if Hamilton and Verstappen, they squabble too much and they get caught up on themselves, which they have done.
There's been a couple of races where they've got back or haven't finished, so
you can sneak some extra points, but it's still pretty close. It's not. I think at this point last year, I think Hamilton was 100 points clear of everyone already.
Yeah,
and we were okay, it was. And Bottas was, a distant second, but he was still second and everyone else was distant to him. So
that's it.
Verstappen's never won the championship?
No. He's been behind Hamilton for the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah,
I was actually surprised at how many times he hasn't won a race considering how crazy good of a driver he is in Red Bull car.
So
Yeah.
just got here.
He's been the second best.
126 starts, 13 wins.
Yeah.
So maybe this is his year.
But then the stat underneath that, 48 podiums. So he's
Loves being a bridesmaid.
That's it.
pretty much, yes.
I don't know. Conspiracy theories, I reckon Mercedes are sort of playing funny buggers, and then towards the end of the season, they'll just absolutely smash it.
Right.
I reckon they'll sort themselves out over like
A
the summer
Richmond
break or
Tigers.
something.
Richmond Tigers, if you
Yeah.
want.
Well, yeah, they got to peak at the right point. So
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's a
Saving
few more
themselves
races to go, but yeah, see how they go over the summer break. And
well, speaking of races, it's what they call a triple header. So in 14 days, they have 3 races.
Yeah,
so they're
two
going
in Austria.
yeah. Well, 2 both at the Red Bull Racing Ring. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same track layout, but it's at the same track. But that's the next 2 races. So this weekend and next weekend. Of course.
Austria back to back into the British Grand Prix.
Yes. Yes. At Silverton. So, yeah. Good. I'm really enjoying F1 at the moment. It's been excellent to watch.
It has been good. There's been a few finishes to races where it's just like crazy.
Yeah.
Just don't think it's going to happen, and stuff just happens, and yeah, that's been good.
That's why we want to say competitive to the last minute.
Indeed.
Yeah.